Oh, hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube movies in terms of food. I'm trying to be goofy and cartoony like this movie that I just watched because today I was so excited. I was so enthused because I thought that Rocky 4 director's cut was coming out, and it did, but you have to pay for it. No thanks. I'm not paying for a movie that I already own 2 times. Come on. Fuck that shit. I didn't pay for Zack Snyder's Justice League cut. That piece of shit. I'm not paying for Rocky 4 director's cut either. And I also thought that Oliver Stone's Kennedy Revisited documentary, episode 1, was coming out. And then, hey, I go on Amazon Showtime, and it's nowhere to be seen. And I got stiff neck. Okay, you guys ever had stiff neck before? It's a pain in the neck. Literally. See, I made a joke. Because today I am reviewing a movie I was going to review anyway. Clifford, the Big Red Dog, starring a ginger. And the reason why I say that is because in the cartoon she's blonde. She's blonde. She's got this short, I mean, I can picture her right now. She's got that short blonde hair looking like fucking Lisa Simpson a little bit. She's got the pink dress on. Guess what this girl looks like? She's a ginger. What a weird choice. What a weird movie. This movie was weird. What the fuck were they thinking? I mean, what is it? Just, are you guys high? Are you guys funny in the head? Did you get in a head injury recently? Did you injure your head? Were you playing too much baseball, like blind baseball, like in the Sopranos prequel? Were you playing a little blind baseball and you got blind for real, and then you just fucking typed out the script with your toes? I mean, what the hell was this? Who wrote this? Who made this? Who directed this? Who composed the music? Who did everything for this movie? I mean, this movie was bad. It was really bad. And it was just, ugh. It was an hour and a half of torture. Guys, please, can I just not review some new release movies, please? I mean, it's already bad enough I'm gonna have to watch these shitty-ass Marvel movies. These shitty-ass fucking mindless CGI dumpster blockbuster trash movies that aren't even actual movies, products. But I have to watch this shit? I mean, what was the movie? What was this movie? It was Clifford. And okay, let's calm down now. Let's take a chill pill. And now let's talk about this video. This hour and a half long video. First off, this is an origin movie, of course, because nobody knows about Clifford's origin, except for all the kids watching it all the kids who watched it growing up. Like me. I know his origin, I guess. I mean, I can't really remember, actually. I mean, first off, I loved this show as a kid. I loved it. I still do love it. I think it was a great kids show. And, it was a nice little positive show, and I like the concept. It's a fun little concept, and it's a fun show. And in preschool, I actually, like, my favorite thing to wear was this pair of Clifford the Big Red Dog overalls. and I wore that all the time, and it was my favorite thing. My favorite. And so I actually really liked the show, and so I was, I wasn't too unhappy that they were making a movie. I just still now I don't understand why they made it, because it's pretty apparent from the movie that they don't really care about the show. They don't really care about the story, the characters. They don't really care. It almost just seems like they made it for their shitty Paramount Plus, or they just made it to make it to keep the rights. That's what this movie feels like. In fact, really, you know what? What's really weird? This is like a movie that would come out straight to DVD in the 90s. Like, that's how bad this movie is. It's just so mindless and so generic, and you could have taken Clifford the Big Red Dog off of this movie, and you could have said this is Pucker the Big Red Parrot, or you could have said that this is Fuckface the Giant Fetus or something. I mean, have a giant baby. Someone impregnated that British MILF mom, and she was like, oh, I got a baby coming. It's gonna be a little baby. I'm gonna give it some tea when it comes out, and some crackers and cheese. And you got Wallace and Gromit coming out, and Wallace is like, I got some cheese. I got some Wensleydale for you, little baby. Oh, shit. And then he gives him the cheese, and the baby turns into a giant baby. And see, that is why you wear a condom when you have sex with that British MILF. Because there's one thing I loved about this movie. Oh, wow. The woman they cast to play Emily's mom, wow. She was smoking. And I was like, God, these people, like, fuck off. Like, if there's any time to have a female star in a film, like, let's have some more female-led films. Put this woman in the centerfold, the center of the story. And just give her all the attention, because, she can be Clifford's keeper, and we can have the story be all about her. I promise it won't turn into Beauty and the Beast, because that's what this movie felt like. That was how weird this movie was. At some points it felt like a horror movie, like to the point of where at one point Clifford actually eats a dog and then spits it out, and then it's really bizarre. There's like pee jokes and shit jokes and fart jokes. I mean, this movie was bad. It's a movie that's going to be studied by, people like the Nostalgia Critic. He's going to probably do a big segment where he goes, I like this movie. I'm going to do my characters, and we're going to be talking about this movie. That is my Nostalgia Critic impression. If you guys, I used to watch Nostalgia Critic, and I am not nostalgic to watch Nostalgia Critic anymore. I tell you what. And the story for this movie, I kind of liked it at first because it started off very simple. It started off at this sort of fun, contained story where you have this uncle, and he's a mess, and he's a van lifer. And that's I'll get to that later, but they make a lot of jokes about van life, and it's pretty funny when the movie's all about anti-bullying, because I'll get to that. I promise I'll get to it. But it's all about him, and he's got to take care of his niece Emily, and she's a little shit. She forces him to take her to this animal rescue tent, and then she gets Clifford, and she forces him to get the dog for her, and she doesn't get the dog, but then the dog appears in her backpack later. Somehow it doesn't suffocate, even though it's literally in a closed backpack, right? It's in her closed school backpack all day. I mean, okay. Kids movie, Let's just put the blinders on and pretend we're retarded and watch this movie. And then you feel like it's going to be this story where, he's lost her before. They make jokes too, which was funny. They made jokes about losing children and like, uh-oh, I lost Emily. I'm glad that she wasn't picked up by a pervert or something, like you're making jokes about that shit, about how you lost a little kid. That's really weird. And he says he lost her twice. And now he's going to make it up to her. He's going to be responsible now. And of course he's not responsible, and it's funny because I have a niece, and I kind of look like the guy in this movie, so I guess they're trying to represent me, quote unquote, if you go by Hollywood's bullshit idea of representation, their bullshit gimmick where the racist, sexist gimmick. I guess I'm represented in this movie. Well, I didn't feel like that at all. This guy's a fucking idiot, and he's never given any redemption either. Like, usually in these types of movies, you get, like, something cool to do, something badass to do. And they had, what was weird, though, was they had this traffic cop, and she was a sexy woman. She was a sexy traffic cop. And, wow. I mean, she should have been the star, too. And she gives him a ticket at the beginning of the movie, or she tries to. And then at the end of the movie, she sees him on TV, and it's kind of like she has a thing for him. And it was weird because he never gets with her at all. He never hooks up with her. And, so I thought that was kind of weird because they had that in there, and it's almost like they might do that in a sequel. But I thought that was kind of unfortunate that, they didn't really give him any sort of redemption at all. He just, at the end, the message is, you have to believe in yourself. Like, wow. It's not like he didn't believe himself at the beginning of the movie. He was a very, okay. But still, like, that's the message for him. He needs to believe in himself. Like, he doesn't get to do anything cool. And then they had John Cleese, and he played a cool character, Bridgewell. He was kind of cool. He was like a Willy Wonka for pets. And I thought that he was cool. I kind of wanted to see more of him because he's like a cameo in the movie. And there's this really bizarre plot where they think he's dead because they go to a hospital to see him. But then they find out that he gave his bow tie to a guy, an old friend, and the old friend died, and he gave him the bow tie so that he would stand out in heaven. I mean, that is the most bizarre shit I've ever heard. That was so weird. It's so out of left field. It's such a strange reason to give someone a bow tie. It's like, what the fuck? And then, but the movie started off on this very simplistic note where you'd think that it was all going to be about her having to contain Clifford, even though, in the show it's like, we want to see him running around the city and shit. That's why the show was so good, because he, he could run around and she'd play with him. You'd have that imagery of him in the doghouse and him, her riding him around town. But in the movie, of course, it could have been this nice little contained story, but instead they had to take him out of the apartment really quickly and turn it into a really generic bullshit mess. It was a mess of a movie. I mean, it's all about this corporation called Life Grow, and it's led by Mike Stoklasa from Red Letter Media, or at least it's a guy who looks like him, but he's like really skinny and like tall, and he's a piece of shit, of course, and it's the typical, he's a bad guy because he leads a corporation. And I mean, what he is doing is bad. I mean, genetically modifying food to make it bigger, nobody wants to eat that shit. Frankenstein apples, Frankenstein food, fuck that shit. I'd rather eat the British Milfy mom. I'd rather eat her. I'll go on an all British mother diet. I'll have some tea time and have some cookies made out of cricket flour. And while she's having some tea time, she can sit on my face all day. I mean, that would be pretty nice. But there's this stupid plot where he wants Clifford the dog, and I mean, how many times are we going to do that with these animal movies where there's this big, rich, powerful guy, and he really wants the pet for some personal reason or some specific reason? How many times are you going to do that story? Because I'm just thinking about, like, they did that in Garfield, where the guy from Freaky Friday and Memento, he wanted the dog. He wanted the Garfield the cat. Oh wait, no, he wanted Otis. Or wait, yeah, cause the dancing thing. I don't want to think about Garfield the movie anyway. Man, I will say though, Garfield the movie is way better than this shit. And so you have this really generic mess of a plot, and the movie all boils down to this strong anti-bullying message movie. It's basically a big message movie to tell you bullying is bad. You should not tease kids for being different. If a kid is weird, you shouldn't tease him. You shouldn't be funny. You shouldn't make jokes. You should just, be a boring loser, a boring square. There's a fine line, and let me tell you something. The main girl in this movie, she gets picked on for being poor, quote unquote. She doesn't really get picked on at all. I was bullied, and it's nothing like this shit. That's for damn sure. That's for damn sure. And she gets called food stamp. It's really kind of bizarre. I mean, it doesn't really... I mean, I knew this red-haired girl in school. She was a huge bitch. There was this time that I wished her Merry Christmas on Facebook just because I wanted to be nice. And then she or her mom got on there and said that she was going to call the police because I was messaging her. Like, that's that's bullying right there. Like, that type of evil bitch behavior. I don't know if it really was her or not. And then the next day, literally the next day after that, I was in art class working on a project, and she came up to me like nothing happened, and she started complimenting my artwork. It's really bizarre, I'm telling you. Bullying for real is like a lot weirder and more messed up than you see in movies like this. And that bitch, she lied. She made this bullshit up about how she moved from Minnesota to Beaver Creek, and it was all a lie, of course. And she just made up all this bullshit to basically extract information out of me, to spread rumors about me. And you know what I called that bitch? I called her Strawberry Short Cunt. And why they don't come up with a more creative nickname like that for Emily Elizabeth. I mean, just thinking about, why don't you point out how funny it is that she's Emily Elizabeth? I mean, that's pretty funny. So I thought that was kind of weak. Be more creative, bullies, because kids are starting to bully back. Not me, of course. I'm not. That sounded really cringeworthy. Kids are starting to bully back. That was like out of a Hallmark movie or some shit. But this movie claims that it's this anti-bullying movie, and oh my god, bullying is bad. You shouldn't bully people who are different, and Clifford is different, and that doesn't mean you should bully them. Well, the funny thing is that the writers forgot that the entire fucking movie, they made fun of everyone. They made everyone into a stereotype. They had the old Russian woman stereotype. And she's drinking condensed milk, and she's Russian, and she's grumpy, and she's got the very thick accent. You know, she looks like fucking grandma from Malcolm in the Middle. Cloris Leachman played her. And then you got there were so many. There was a black guy. They made the superintendent a black guy, and he had the they gave him like the stereotypical janitor outfit. Like, remember from that Malcolm in the Middle episode where you had the black guy, you had the advertisement for the malt liquor or beer, whatever, and it was a black guy in a janitor's uniform. But they literally, and then you had the Asian kid. Oh, they had a little Asian kid, and he had glasses, and he was good with computers. Oh my God! What were they thinking? I mean, you guys are the ones preaching about bullying and teasing people. You guys, they literally stereotyped everyone, even the British mom. They had some British jokes. Like the main uncle, he's like, Dumbledore, cheerio. It's like, what the fuck? Like, you want to talk about bullying? You can't talk about bullying if you're going to make these types of jokes. You can't sit on your high red dog instead of high horse if you make these types of jokes. I don't care. Fuck off with that shit, you pretentious Hollywood twats. You can't talk to me about bullying. Let's talk about the British jokes, mate. Let's talk about the Asian, the Russian, Middle Eastern. Like, they make fun of everyone in this movie. And then they have this bullshit where it's like, you shouldn't bully. At the very end, you know, Emily Elizabeth, she gives a speech. She gives a little Greta Thunberg speech to warm everyone's hearts and change their minds that Clifford is a good dog and she loves Clifford. And you know what? If you want to watch a good movie called Clifford, go watch Clifford with Martin fucking Short. Go watch that movie with, who's that guy who just died? That really good actor. The guy in Clifford, who plays the uncle. That is a fantastic movie called Clifford. And stay the fuck away from this one. And I didn't even talk about the CGI. Oh, wow. The Clifford the dog suddenly is now, as people have said, he looks like fucking Kool-Aid the dog. He looks like Fruit Punch. He looks like, man, I used to go to the laundromat and get some Hawaiian Punch. He looks like a dog that was dyed with a... Excuse me, sorry about that. He was dyed with fucking Hawaiian Punch. That's what he looks like. It looks really bad. But I will say, I like the actors a lot. I liked all of them pretty much. I love the mom, of course. That is... Okay, that was cringeworthy. You guys see how hard it is to do reviews where you can't edit stuff out? Because I say that all my reviews are raw, so I can't actually edit this. I immediately regretted doing that, though. And then the superintendent, you know, he was a good actor. They didn't use him at all, basically. He was in, like, one scene, and then they had the villains become the Life Grow people. I would say I did not like the Life Grow people at all. They were terrible actors. They were cartoons. You know, I loved all the other actors, though. You know, the uncle, he was really funny. He was really good. It made me glad that I'm not anywhere near where my niece is, because it scares me, like, what could happen if I had to babysit her like this. Like, just, it's a horror movie. It's like a horror movie for real. Clifford the horror movie. And then, of course, the Emily Elizabeth, I actually really liked her. I thought that she was a good child actress, and she did a really good job. And I thought that, she did a really good job for the shit movie script that she was given. And it's just too bad that this couldn't have been a good movie, and it's too bad that there's really no point to this movie. I mean, there's literally no point. Why did we need this movie? Why did we need a Clifford movie that isn't Clifford at all? It's just a generic giant dog, ginger girl. She's not Emily Elizabeth from the fucking show, that's for damn sure. All these stereotypes, really weird. And they make fun of van lifing, which is probably the weirdest choice ever, because van lifers are smart and they are financially responsible, and this movie almost is like bullying van lifers. And at the end of the movie, they have this stupid fairy tale ending where they say that, and then the uncle moved out of the van and got a real place and a real job. And it's like, oh, fuck off, fucking Hollywood hacks, living in your fucking gated bubble. Fuck off with that shit. And they make his van look like a dump, and they make all these, it's so weird. It's like, of all the things you could have made fun of, it's like really cringeworthy. People who are poor, less fortunate, people who, the movie talks all about not making fun of Emily Elizabeth for being poor, and then you literally make fun of the uncle for being poor. I mean, what the fuck? And just because you're a van lifer doesn't mean you're poor either. But they almost like make him, I thought he was like a homeless guy or something. Like, it was really weird. Oh God, my neck is aggravated a lot from doing this review. I'm gonna rate this movie now in terms of food. I almost want to give it something British, mate. But this movie, back when I used to watch the show, I would always eat the shitty cereal, sugary shitty cereal for breakfast. I give this movie a bowl of soggy Monster Mash cereal, because this movie is like going back to revisit children's cereal and just being like, ugh. Because the Monster Mash cereal, it was not that good. It was very sugary. They basically put Count Chocula, Boo Berry, Frankenberry, they put them all together and they said, this is a cereal. And it's soggy, and it's like, what is this? It's just a mess. And it's just so generic and awkward and not good. But I will say, it's not the worst movie of the year. But I don't think that that's a bar that people should be proud to achieve, because the movies this year have been abysmal. So I'm going to have to look up that actress who played the mom, though. I'm going to look her up right after this. Go on IMDb and research time. Because that's the only worthwhile thing from this movie. I mean, if they make a sequel, please include her as the main character, because everyone in the audience will be appreciative. With their dollars, too. Because I watched this movie on Paramount Plus. I didn't go to the theaters to watch this movie. Well, maybe if you have this movie be IMAX and then make her the main character and write a good movie, and then I'll be happy to go see it in theaters. But until then, cheerio! And please like and subscribe and comment. Tell me about your tea. Do you like to drink tea? I do sometimes when I'm sick with the coughing sickness, the cold. Cheerio!